Hello, hello, Pharmacy Seeds Network, and we're live. Alright, let's see if anybody shows up. Anybody around? Anyone? Anyone? Bueller? Ferris Bueller? Bueller? Ferris Bueller? Oh, I think somebody came in. Hello, hello. Hello, hello. Geeky Gardens. Oh, it was you that came in. How are you? Who came in? No, what's on second? How's it go? Who's on first? What's on second? How you doing tonight, Geeky? No comment. Oh, now it's telling me my stream is crappy. Is my stream crappy? Video output low. Y42324. You don't know how you're doing, or you don't know who's on first, what's on second, and I can't remember who's on third. Okay, on your end. Okay, good. That's all that matters anyway, right? What's going on? Anything exciting? Making any progress on the LiDAR? Oh, right. I don't know, on third base, right. I've only seen that bit like once or twice in my life. It was a long time ago, so I don't remember all the details. The classic, though. Ready for more parts. Isn't that always the case? Always waiting for more parts. If you're not working on a project, you're waiting for parts. Well, we had some nice weather today. 58, I think, was the high. Let me double check that. Oh no, 62. Hey, Mimsy's Garden, what's going on? You in to check out my taters? So anyway, so we had 62 degrees, some sun, mostly overcast, sunny early, and then I was up stoking late because it was cold, so I didn't really get to enjoy the sun, but still nice to have the warm weather. Ground is thawed. Wishing the tractor wasn't in the shop. Yeah, it is a heat wave here. And they're saying, well, tomorrow and, oh, how's this go? Tomorrow and Tuesday, 48 and 44 is a high, and then 23 on the overnight, so still cold at night. But then after that, we're going to 50 Wednesday and 29 overnight, 57 Thursday and 40. So we're getting into more seasonable spring-like weather. Thank God. So looking forward to that. Studying for the final class test of the MG program. MG. I did not catch the northern lights. The moon has been beautiful. I didn't catch that they might be out, and I was pretty busy. I wasn't really looking at the sky. Oh, Master Gardener, right. My bad. Awesome. Well, that shouldn't be too difficult for you, I would think. You seem to have mastered what you got going there so far. Everything looks great. You got a beautiful greenhouse, beautiful plants, got good wood chips down and all. I have seen northern lights in here before, Geeky, but not recently. Beautiful though when you do see them. So when's your test, Anna? Yeah. What do you start doing? Advancing the eco-agriculture stuff and no FAMAS. It'll really fry your brain. Tuesday, okay. You got a little bit of time yet. What kind of stuff are they? What kind of stuff is on that test? Out of curiosity. I mean, you don't have to go into extreme detail. Just topics that are covered, or whatever. Oh, from Iceland. Oh, that must have been awesome, Geeky Gardens. Oh, come on, Mimsy. You could do it. You could do it. If I can do it, you can do it. You have the passion for it. That's all it really takes. I didn't realize you were in the Navy, Geeky Gardens. That's cool. How long were you in the Navy for? Pesticides, weeds, pruning, botany. Okay. They go over what pesticides to use on stuff. See, that's so frustrating to me that they haven't gotten past that model yet. But there's a lot of good information in that, I'm sure, regarding pruning and botany and how to manage weeds and all that. I know you're of the same mindset I am. No chemicals. He said as he lit a cigarette. I gotta give you something to bust my chops about, right? Yeah, organics is the way to go. Beyond organic. Went to school in the GI Bill. Oh, you made out good on that then, Geeky. Mipsy. My dad was in the Marines when he was younger. He got out after one tour too. He didn't really enjoy it much, we'll put it that way. What kind of weather you having down there, Geeky and Mimsy? You guys must have warm weather. Geeky, I imagine you probably 80 plus, right? And Mimsy, I'm guessing you're probably 70 or 80 degrees too down there. Cracking the whip. Okay, no worries. Okay. Sounds like that was a good bridgeway for you, Geeky Gardens. So from the Navy, you went to writing code. It's a good jump. There's a lot of that in the military now, isn't there? Between cryptography and all the technology stuff we have now. There's a lot now based on what we had then. Yeah, I just saw a video recently from a vet. He was talking about I can't remember the title of the video. It was like something about war and the domain and how it affects you. Interesting. I think it was like a 20-minute video or so, but he went into how much technology is integrated with it, and a training operation they did where they had multiple countries bombing an old or putting missiles, bombs, etc. in on an old carrier, and he talked about how it integrates, and he actually went interviewed a 4-star general, and the general talked about how important the humans in it still are. So that was kind of encouraging. I'm not sure I like where all this AI stuff is going. Ha! Well said, Geeky Gardens. Humans will always be integral. I don't trust anyone's coding entirely, even my own. Same here, same here. Every time I just made another adjustment in the greenhouse algorithm today for controlling the heat pumps, and I watch that chart like a hawk for about 48 hours after I make a code adjustment to make sure it's doing what I think it's doing. Every once in a while I catch myself. Oh, why isn't that working? And then you go back and look, and it's like, oh yeah, one little comma or one little one little glitch in your code. Yeah, I agree. I'm concerned with all the like robotic stuff that they're going to apply that to, basically trying to control populations. I feel like our democracy is already close to breaking, and it wouldn't take much for them to push some automated weapons into the game, and well, I think that would have some negative effects on our political system, shall we say. Have you seen any of the stuff that they're doing at U.S. Robotics? Yeah, I agree, Geeky. I think that's a big part of why people are trying to become self-sufficient. There's some interesting videos on some of the stuff U.S. Robotics is developing, like military type. Like one was like a donkey, but with onboard weaponry and all sorts of auto sensing stuff, and they had a soldier come over and kick this thing down and knock it over. It just gets right back up and keeps tracking. It's like short of like serious incendiary rounds, I don't know how you'd stop something like that. if it was after you. Chasing you around, automatically tracking you and shooting 50 cals at you. Like, what are you going to do? Dodge AAAs. You can only dodge AAAs for so long. Yeah, it seems like there's a huge... it might not be you. Oh, it might be Boston Robotics. U.S. Robotics. Yeah, that's an old modem company. I think it's Boston Robotics. I think Google bought them out anyway, so, you know, all under one corporate umbrella, so to speak. Yeah, U.S. Robotics. Do you remember the old 14.4 modems? I'm sure you do. I'll bet you remember 2400 baud, or even 1200, or maybe even 300. I remember watching the screen load. Watching the cursor go across, putting data on. I don't know if U.S. Robotics still does exist. They made pretty good modems though, as I remember. Can't even give it away. I hear you. I hear you. Let's see. The only old stuff I probably have a couple of 56K modems in a box around somewhere. The only other stuff I have is an old packet radio modem. That's 1200 baud, but packet's still 1200 baud today, unless you're on a backbone. Then it's like 9600, or some I think they even push 19.2, but that's the high end. But that's a bandwidth thing. We're only allowed to use a very narrow channel. I think it's 5 or 10 kilohertz, something like that. You ever play with anything packet radio related, Geeky Gardens? Do you know about packet radio? I'll tell you about it if you want to know. If you don't know, I assume with your background you probably have a pretty good understanding. Commodore 64. I found a Commodore 64 in operation. Still works. Yeah, but well, those old floppies don't hold up well over time. I've run into that issue before too. That's funny. Back when, well, boy, it must be 20 years ago now, but when my friend Matt was going to school in Nashua, New Hampshire, he was going to flight school up there, we would communicate through packet radio over the packet radio network. Yeah, it was basically just packets over radio. You're modulating a radio signal rather than a copper line. Same thing, same deal. Anyway, we would communicate over packet radio, and his I can't remember if it was his node controller or if it was his Commodore. I think his Commodore died on him. The power supply died, and he hacked an old digital alarm clock he had. He hacked the power supply on that to power the Commodore, so we could communicate via packet. So that was pretty cool. He's one of those people that can overcome any technical issue. If it can be beat, he can beat it. Yeah, anyway, so packet radio is kind of interesting. You can do it over VHF, which is what we were doing. You can also do it over HF, although I think the max rate on that is 300 baud, so it's fairly slow. But you can talk around the world on, like a quarter of a watt or a watt. Very low power consumption. and bouncing radio signals off the ionosphere or multiple other pathways. Kind of fun. It's one of the things that we do at our amateur radio field day. We have a whole digital station dedicated to that stuff. Timex Sinclair 1000. I've heard of those, but I don't know anything about them. I'll have to look into that. Was that older than the Commodore? or same era. Timex, as in Timex, like the watch company. I used to have a Timex watch. Actually, it's probably still around in one of my boxes, that you could program. There was a programming software that came with it, so you could actually hold it up to the video screen and program it through that. Yeah, the watch people. Okay. Morgan Brunson, what's going on? Howdy ho. Good to see you in here. Roughly the same time, C64. Clive Sinclair in England. Okay, I've heard of him. Created it as a Sinclair ZX80. Timex licensed it to bring it to the US. Ah, okay. Interesting. I know that name, Clive Sinclair. I can't remember where I know that from. I'll have to go back and do some Google work, huh? How are you tonight, Morgan? Hey, thanks, Morgan. Yeah, definitely one of the smaller guys. Getting there a little bit at a time. I figure I've been patient this long. What's another couple of years? I have all kinds of stuff I want to do live streams on, more related to plants and nutrition and soil and biology and all that, but kind of want to wait until there's more people. Back temporarily until the whip cracks again, huh, Mimsy? We got to get you some chainmail armor. Yeah, no, we're definitely not the millennials. Far from it. Far from it. We're in a Zlog Z80 CPU, which is a hybrid 8 16-bit CPU, 8 8-bit registers. You can find 4 16-bit registers. Oh wow, yeah, that was quite a machine for its time. Rough couple of days, Mimsy. I'm sorry to hear that. It's a lot of work caring for them, isn't it? Yeah, it is, Morgan. For sure. It's okay. Yeah, I know. It's a lot of work. I know. That's awesome that you're caring for them, though, and getting their health up and feeding them good food. Getting them off of as many of those chemical meds as you can. That's a job. I know how hard that is. My parents are relatively healthy, but it's been like pulling teeth to get them to understand diet and nutrition better and to try and apply it. Yeah, isn't she, Morgan? I know. Shout out to Mimsy. Shout out to Mimsy's garden. You're doing an amazing job down there, Mimsy. That greenhouse is so immaculate and all those beautiful green plants in it. Beautiful. You inspired me, though. You know, I went out and cleaned the greenhouse out last night today. I'll have to do an update video. I got most of the electronics parts and tools that weren't in use out of the way. I put in my starter benches and stuff. Get ready to turn it up for spring. I just know when you put that high tunnel up, you're just going to rock it. right out of the park. So what else is going on? Anything exciting? Anybody got anything to report? Any questions to ask? Statements to make? "38 tomato plants and post hole diggers." Oh, that'll get frustrations out. I do that, or I'll, like wintertime, I split firewood. That's an excellent frustration killer. That firewood takes some abuse from me in the winter. Yeah, oh yeah, you must be warm climate too, Morgan. Should have corn, beans, and squash all planted. Oh, I so can't wait till soil temps and temperatures come up for that. I'm a little behind too. I just got some peppers started now, and I should have had them started early March, really. Driving stakes with a post hole drive were nice. I don't have one of those, but they're sweet. Winter tomatoes are about done. Yeah, seedlings ready to go. Yeah, I just took out my 8B, 9A. Oh, nice. I just took out my my cherry tomatoes that were in the greenhouse. I finally took that planter out and freed that space up. Transplanted a bunch of the rosemaries that were overdue for transplant. Did some pruning. Getting ready to roll out to the next level. Pretty exciting. It's nice to go back in the greenhouse and not have you know, miscellaneous tools and parts all about. Just have clean areas with plants going. It's so hard to keep that clean. It's like a cross between my greenhouse and my kind of work lab, sort of. Well, so Morgan, if you're 8B or 9A, you got time. Even if the squash and that kind of stuff goes in late, you still got a long enough season to come through with that. Okay, huh? Here, if I don't get them in by end of May or early June, boy, it's a squeeze to make it before the freeze. Yeah, Mimsy. It's a good workout. I can't understand these people that like go to the gym. It's like, get a hobby that gives you good exercise that you enjoy. Saw that. I've rooted some since you want to sell some. Yeah. Yeah, I gotta go out and do some more cuttings. I'll probably work out there again later tonight. You can plant summer crops till September. Oh, that's awesome. By September, we're starting to get temps cooling here. In fact, I want to have a couple of tomato plants going in the greenhouse this year so I can go a little bit longer season. I'd love to have you organize my green lab, Mimsy. That'd be awesome. I saw how neat you had that greenhouse. That thing looks spick and span. I'd be afraid to touch anything in my own greenhouse, though. Start winter at the end of August. What's your lower temps there? Your OCD was killing you watching my video. I'll bet. I'll bet. Yeah, I'm a little cluttered. Tomatoes and greens in October, never got your first frost. Yeah, you guys, you don't even always get a frost every year, do you? November 10th. Last is usually April 3rd. That's not bad. Let's see. Our first frost typically is October 20th, and our last is usually May 20th. May 15th to May 20th. No, you're right, Mimsy. I wouldn't be able to find a thing. Every time I clean and I put stuff in a safe place, I can never find it again until I start cleaning, and then I find it and I go, oh, that's where I put it that I thought was a safe place where I wouldn't lose it. Yeah, those surprise frosts will get you. That's what got my rosemary last year. I pulled them out of the greenhouse April 10th, I think it was. And then we got like a freeze and like an inch or two of snow a couple nights later, and it frost shocked them all. And then I spent the rest of the season just trying to recover the plants. I'm not doing that this year. I want monster rosemary trees by next fall. We can't go stunting them like that. Winter was actually pretty normal. Last winter, you mean this last winter, Geeky? This winter was actually fairly seasonable for us. The last 3 or 4 before that have been weird though. Cold early or cold late, or cold and then warm in the middle, like 80s, and then back to cold. Strange weather. Your first frost is the 12th, and last March 26th. Oh, that's awesome. Lows get to 20s, but only a few days at a time total. Okay. Yeah, so you can run all kinds of like the cooler, you know, like brassica crops and that kind of stuff without too much trouble. Especially if you put a little, you know, like insulation blanket over them on the cold nights. Yeah, I hear you, Geeky. Yeah, I'm just keeping them in the greenhouse till I'm certain I'm past frost. I mean, you know, I saw the forecast. I could have pulled the stuff in, but I said, I think they'll be okay. That's what I get for being lazy. Don't be lazy. Go pull them back in if it's going to be cold. Anyway, they're cranking again now, so I'm excited. I'm going to give a good foliar feed and drench tonight to everything. Sometime in February. Man. Not even row covers. Oh, okay. Yeah, lose a little. I mean, if you're not losing at all. Hey, Christopher Paul. How are you tonight? Good to see you in. We're just shooting a menorah here. For those who don't know, Christopher Paul is my long-standing good friend, and he's helped me get this farm stuff together in various ways. So thank you, Chris, for all your help. Glad you're feeling all right. Have a good dinner. Joey at My Slice likes to bust your chops about temps. Well, are his temps colder or warmer than yours? Because I thought he was like Missouri, or I can't remember where he is now. I know he's somewhere warmer than me. He's a nice guy. Geeky. He's in Central Florida, I think. Right, Geeky? You gotta check out his turtles. His turtles are cool. Misery, Missouri. Yes. I've been through Missouri. The only thing that I thought was cool in Missouri was you could buy fireworks. Of course, I think we went through Missouri in about 3, 4, 5 hours, something like that. Dandruff, yes. Very cold dandruff. Okay, Mimsy. Sorry, didn't mean to overload the testosterone. Good luck with your studying. Hope you pass your test. I'm sure you'll do fine. East End of I-4, Central Florida. White Christmas, you go to the beach, there you go. You mean you don't run off to Cabo Wabo? I was kind of hoping Homesteading the Hard Way would drop by, but I think those guys are still catching up from being away. They seem to get a lot of people in their live streams. Catch you on the flip side, Mimsy. Missouri, that's right, he's Missouri. Yeah, I have to say I expected Missouri to be warmer than it was. We came across in the winter sometime. I think it was like January or February. I think it was February. I drove back from Colorado. A friend of mine had me drive his Mustang back from Colorado because he was being deployed. That was fun. 450 horse supercharged Mustang. 31 hours straight from Colorado to New York. I was tired when we got back though, real tired. So what's everybody planting this year? Tomatoes, squash, beans. What else were you saying there, Morgan? Tomatoes and greens. Okay, Geeky does tomatoes and greens. Lost it in the chat. Yeah, I know a guy, an amateur radio guy who just moved up to New York from Arkansas, and I was asking him about the climate. I was surprised they got as much cold and snow as they do there. For some reason I always pictured Arkansas as being warmer. Missouri too, obviously. But they get their share of cold and snow. It was pretty cold in Missouri when we came through, I know that. In fact, it was real cold. It was a cold snap when we were coming back. Melons, maters, taters, pumpkins, peas, and okra, and artichoke. Nice! Nice. What kind of pumpkin do you grow? And what kind of maters? And what kind of melons? You ever grow the Big Max pumpkins? Or the Atlantic Giants? Melons, have you ever done Moon and Stars? Or Carolina Cross, number 183? Your Cherokee. Cherokee tan. Pumpkin? That's a pumpkin? That sounds nice. Leave it to Google to try and sell me a car. Oh yeah, those are nice. They're like almost like a squash. Wow, nice deep orange flesh. Those are sweet. Let's see, which one? The Moon and Stars or the Carolina Cross 183s? Yeah, the Moon and Stars are really good. Okay. Oh, from Deep South? Okay. I have to look into them. I'm not familiar with them. Both? Oh, both. Okay. Yeah, I agree. The Carolina Cross a few years back. In fact, I've been reviewing some old video that I recovered. It's going to take some editing time, but I think I'm going to put together some clips and put up with some old stuff I did. I had one Carolina Cross, I think it was 198 pounds, which is pretty good for up here in the north. There's such a long season crop. But man, we were eating watermelon all fall. In fact, we took one to, we went to a greenhouse Thanksgiving at another farmer friend of mine's, and that was one of the dessert things for I think we took a 100-pounder to that one. Beg for Cherokee seeds, nice. Powdery mildew, yeah. Trying to think. There's some info from Advanced Eco Agriculture on how to beat that powdery mildew. Well, basically, if you can get the health of the plants up higher, they'll produce more of the plant's essential oils and put a waxy sheen on the surface, and that helps defend against the 90% humidity makes it tough. There's also was it potassium carbonate, I think, that'll knock powdery mildew out. My slice of heaven. Hey, 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 welcome. How are you tonight? Thanks for stopping in. We were just talking about you not too long ago. Were your ears ringing? Baking soda. Yeah, this is like baking soda, but it's potassium carbonate instead of sodium bicarbonate, or potassium bicarbonate. It's supposed to be better for that. Also supposed to work for botrytis. Pretty effective from what I understand. I have tried the baking soda. That works sometimes, but if you're getting rain every day, it's hard to keep that on the plants, and then you end up buffering your soil, and like you go the other way soil-wise. It's kind of a frustrating loop to end up in. Oh, you just got home from your property? Yeah. Beautiful day. Well, it was a beautiful day here. I assume it was nice down there, although I don't know. Would have been a beautiful day to be out on it, if it's anything like it was here. How'd you make out? Yeah, you have to do it every day, which is a pain. Advancing Eco Agriculture used to carry a product. I think they discontinued it, which I was pretty disappointed, because I found it was really effective for some of that kind of stuff, preventative until you could get plant health up better. It was Mycostat, and it was basically a mixture of essential oils, and that was really effective for holding that stuff back, especially in those wet weather conditions and high humidity like you're talking about. But I tried to get more. I tried to order more last year, and they discontinued it. I'll have to follow up on that, because they said they were going to look into it, and I never heard back from them. If they had a stash somewhere, I'd love to get some of that. Yeah, that's what you get for one frost day. Yeah. Always trade-offs, right, Morgan? You could have warm weather all the time. It just comes with high humidity. Yeah, it is jungle down there, huh? We get some pretty high heat and humidity here in New York, but nothing like you guys get in Florida. I've never been to Florida in the summer, but I've heard it's just wicked. 110 and humid. Ugh. Crushing. Also, what you gotta do, Geeky, is go north of the summer, go back to Florida in the winter. I'd love to have a farm in the south for the winter. Go south for the winter and farm, and then come back here in the summer when it's nice. Rich man's pipe dream.
Oh yeah, garden in the trailer. I've thought of that too. Yeah, I can't fit mine on there either. Plants don't seem to like 60, 70, 80 mile an hour winds either. No wind. Oh yeah, the Georgia-Florida line. I've been to Valdosta. One of the girls I dated, her dad lived just outside of Valdosta. We went down in May. But yeah, it was there wasn't a lot of wind, but it got hot quick, boy. I was surprised how hot it gets there. But it was nice. It was nice to feel the sun and the heat. Hello from Texas. Hello, Heritage Farms. Thanks for stopping in. How are you tonight? You still working on your fences, or are you done setting all your fences up now? Close to there, Morgan. Okay. That's beautiful down there. Never-ending job. Yeah, I know the feeling. I got a lot of fence repairs to do this year myself. Repairs and upgrades, changing some of the fence location and stuff. And we got hit with a wicked, wicked storm last March that knocked trees, fences, everything, just blew it flat practically. And I was just didn't even bother putting the fences back up last year, but I got to keep the deer out this year. Jayville for 10 to 15 years and hated it. Where I'm at, we usually have a nice breeze. 1 mile to the ocean and a river between. Oh, plus being close to the ocean is nice. Do you collect seaweed from the beach for nutrition? What vegetables work best in semi-shade sun? By the Okefenokee Swamp. Oh! My mom and I read a book years back about the Okefenokee Swamp. I can't remember the name of the book now. Great book, though. Just eat the deer. Yeah, well, I love venison. We're not allowed to shoot them here in the summer, though, without special permits, though. So, semi-shade sun. Well, when you say semi-shade, how many hours of sunlight a day is that plot getting? Oh, the currents don't bring it. That's frustrating. That's an awesome resource. Another awesome resource is actually the seawater itself. You mix like 5% seawater and the rest fresh water. That gives you most of your trace mineral nutrition there. You can get massive gains doing that. Like, you know, every couple weeks you do a shot with 5% seawater. 4 to 5 hours. Oh, that's not bad. You could probably do something like onions or scallions or leeks or something like that. Depends what you like, too. Yeah, they don't hand them out like candy here, Morgan. You can get them, but I also don't have time to sit around with a rifle. I'm so busy planting and trying to manage the farm stuff that I end up not having time to shoot at anything. Even the woodchucks have managed, well, a few of them have managed to escape me. I've capped a couple of them. Too much suntan lotion. Yeah, I can imagine. Ugh. 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 If those people only knew what negative effects suntan lotion actually have on their body.
Yeah, yeah, I would say just about anything with 6 hours. I mean, 6 hours is kind of the minimum for a decent garden plot. But I would say, like the onions and that kind of stuff would do well. You could probably do some arugula. Some lettuces is probably would do okay in there. Hey, my slice of heaven, thanks. Missed it. Missed what? What'd you miss, Slice? 4 to 6 hours, yeah. Yeah, pamper them a bit more. And I'll tell you what, you know what'll really help in a spot like that, Heritage, is the foliar feed system. You can really target what plants need right on the money. You can get massive, massive gains and really take advantage. Oh, where am I at? Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't understand your question. I'm in New York, Tivoli, New York, about 90 miles north of New York City, about 50 miles south of Albany, and about 30 miles west of the Massachusetts-Connecticut border. Yeah, we're up in cold country. 42 degrees north, 42.73, 42 degrees north, 73 west, roughly. So anyway, Heritage, depending on what you grow, with a couple of the right foliar feeds, you can really take advantage of that 4 to 6 hours of sunlight you get there. You can make some massive gains for very little material. Boss of the swamps. Those swamps are cool, but man, gators. I'd probably move south if it weren't for gators. Yeah, they have a couple of videos on foliar feeds, kind of starting the basics, Heritage Farms. So check those out, and then as I get more viewers and followers, one of these live streams, I'm going to do a whole thing on foliar feeds and soil health and biology, and kind of try and tie all those concepts together better. Gators are good. Oh, if you eat them, you mean? I hear they're good. I've never tried gator. Mostly just because I haven't had a chance to try it. I would try gator. Back when I had TV, I used to watch that gator hunting show. That was pretty cool. Hey, no problem, Heritage Farms. Glad to help. And if you have any questions, don't be afraid to ask. I'm always glad to help. You know, that channel, your cabin lives close to you. Oh, Morgan, okay. Not paying close enough attention to the chat. So did you look at your soils a little more? Have you looked at that information about clay soils and calcium sulfate? My slice of heaven. I wonder if you got a chance to check any of that out yet. And did you just hang out at the new property today, or did you actually did you work on anything, or what? I'll bet you're really excited about that property. Oh, that's right. You just got a new track loader, didn't you? Yeah, I hope you were playing with your new toy, too. Calcium sulfate would cost too much. That's frustrating. So you ruling out chestnuts for now? Yeah, and I don't know of any other real cheap methods for that. The only other thing I could tell you is mulch, 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 and build the soil up and get the clay colloids cracked open. But it takes time if you can't add some boosting inputs. Do you know what the pH of that soil is? Weren't you saying they need to be like 5.5 to 5.7 or something for chestnuts? Oh yeah, soil web, yeah. Absolutely. It's critical. If you want really truly healthy, good organics, you got to have a living soil. All that biology has to be present. The biology is the trump card. Yes, it's on the money. The soil web, it's on the money. And that's part of what the mulch is about, is protecting that biology from direct sunlight. And also it provides organic material to be broken down. You can build carbon soil matter so fast. In fact, there's a video out, just came out from Advanced Eco Agriculture. I'll drop the link in here for you. It's well worth seeing. I'm only about 10 minutes in and I'm totally stoked about it. Yes, it is complex. It is complex. But you know, you don't have to understand the entire soil web. You just have to understand the principles and practices that facilitate a good soil web. And most of it comes down to good mulch and trace mineral nutrition and making sure biology is there. And with the right inoculants and mulches, you can really knock it out of the park. It tells you it's perfect for chestnuts. Well, I'll tell you what, pick up a couple chestnut trees and put them in and see how they do. After a couple years, you'll have a good gauge. You know, if they're growing well and doing well, you'll know. Yeah, that's part of why I started the whole this whole channel, Morgan, to try and educate people about that, because it's complex if you study it from an isolated standpoint, where you want to study each piece of the biology and all. But if you understand some basics about how those things interact with each other, you can really get it to take off without a lot of trouble. I've got a couple of videos on mulches and stuff where I show different evolutions of things, and I'm just getting started on this property and I'm already turning some pretty good results. Literally feet from where I dropped my pin this weekend, a tree had fallen and uprooted orange soil and clay. Septic tank enzymes and bacteria occasionally. Okay. Haha, homesteading the hard way. How are you guys tonight? Thanks for stopping by. Picks them up, rolled it in a ball, says lots of clay, but we did get in over an inch of rain Saturday night. Okay. Well, like I said, clay's not bad. Clay has all kinds of nutrition locked up in it, and it doesn't take a whole lot to get it going. You don't have to use calcium sulfate, you know. You can use some good inoculants and stuff. Like, I've never tried septic tank enzymes, although that makes sense, given that they're breaking down organic material. And a big part of what the biology does in the soil is provide enzymes. And if you don't know about enzymes are basically they're basically trace minerals coated in a protein shell, and they interact with specific biochemical processes, and they can do that over and over and over and over without wearing out. So once you get the enzymes in there, they can do that job very quickly, and they can accelerate that job. An excellent example, just for a simple understanding of enzymes, is in our saliva we have an enzyme called amylase, and that enzyme is designed to break down starches to simple sugars. That's the first part of our digestive system. And so the correlation there is our digestive system is similar to that of a ruminant animal. A little bit different, well, significantly different, but if you look at it from that standpoint, the soil is the digestive tract of the plant. And so once you understand that, then you can understand that, you know, if the biology is there, you can interface with things. And if you can't, if the biology isn't there, you have trouble interfacing and getting nutrition to the plants. And the plants feed the soil, and the soil feed the plants. That's a two-way street. Yeah, that's what I was telling him, Morgan. Gypsum or calcium sulfate. But he said for 6 acres it would cost too much. Which I understand. I work on a half a shoestring budget here, so I totally get that. Actually, well, I took biology in high school, but I never took any college classes. But I've learned a lot of stuff through the Bionutrient Food Association and NOFA Mass, Northeastern Organic Farmers Association, Massachusetts Division, and also through Advancing Eco Agriculture and John Kempf and his webinars. Yeah, load up the organic matter, then you're protecting in the biology, giving it a home and giving it food. Once you do that, it does its thing, as long as you don't add chemicals. Two major rules for that. Major, critical, important rules. Don't put chemical fertilizers down, because chemical fertilizers kill off all that soil biology for the entire rest of the growing season, and so you've compromised that link between the plant and the soil. And don't use pesticides, because pesticides are trace mineral chelators and they're endocrine disruptors. In other words, they disrupt hormones in plants, animals, and humans. Yeah, sheetrock, right. You could take that and burn it down in a burn pile, and then take that and spread it on your land. There you go, you have gypsum. That's a very good point, Morgan. I hadn't considered that. Yeah, that's what I would say too, Geeky. That's what I was telling him. Put a couple trees in, and actually put like I don't know, 4 or 6 trees in, and do like 2 with no amendments, and then 2 with some calcium sulfate, and then 2 with more calcium sulfate, and then apply all the same practices on everything else and see how they respond. I mean, it's not expensive to put a few in and see how they do. Now, are you trying to do chestnuts for production level, or is this just for the homestead? Yeah, once the plants get going, they'll do the job for you. Yeah, really critical to understand that plants aren't just taking nutrients from the soil; they're putting exudates and sugars back into the soil and feeding the biology. And so that's why those foliar feeds have such an effect. When you do a foliar feed, you accelerate the plant's energy, and so it has more energy that it can feed back to the soil as sugars, and that feeds the biology, and that accelerates that whole process faster and faster. I'm gonna clear 6 acres, plant 1 acre next year. If they don't grow after 1 year, we just have a heck of a food plot. Yeah, that's a good practice. How many trees per acre are you looking at with chestnuts? I don't know a lot about chestnuts. Production, extra income, or retirement. Okay. Pecans. Oh, you're making me hungry, Morgan. I love pecans. I love all the nut trees, actually. Nuts are one of my favorite. We used to collect, there's a neighbor down the street from my parents, we used to collect all the black walnuts, wild black walnuts off the walnut tree there, and man, they were so good. Yeah, I was saying before homesteading, well, that's right, Chris. I was saying before that the clay soil actually has a tremendous amount of nutrition in it. You just have to unlock it from the clay colloids. It's locked up in the clay colloids, and if you can get the biology going in there and some good mulch and a little bit of organic matter, you can crack all that nutrition off of the clay and put it to use. Too far north for pecans. Yeah, they're a pretty southern thing, aren't they? Well, this is great. I'm stoked we're talking about plants and soil and biology. One of my favorite topics. What else are you thinking about putting there, my slice? 70 trees to an acre, but as they mature, take out every other one. Oh, there you go. 35 to the acre, so they're a huge tree then. Yes, fungal growth is essential for cracking clay. Yes, that's part of why I recommend BioCoat Gold as an inoculant, because that has a tremendous fungal component in it. And yeah, the fungal is huge, huge. Fungi, let me see if I can just go to a simple version of this. Basically fungi are like a fiber optic network in the soil. And believe it or not, a good healthy fungal system in the soil can literally transfer nutrients from one part of the soil to the other at near instant speeds. They did an experiment in Russia where there was a huge fungal colony in the native soil there, and they were able to, using radioactive isotopes, they were able to detect nutrition being transmitted up to 20 miles through the fungal networks. So they're so critical. And that's why tilling's so bad, because you break all those little fibers when you till too much. White clay, different like potter's clay. Well, Chris, why aren't you making pots? I'm just busting your chops, bud.
Yeah, almost instant. So you've been studying the biology and fungal stuff too, huh, Morgan? That's great.
Yes, same as the mushroom networks. Yes, same concept. There are all different strains of fungi, and all of them have a beneficial effect on that. In fact, the more population, the better. He grew pots and lost money. Well, maybe you should try growing pot. No, I'm just kidding. Okay, you gotta go. Hey, that's okay, my slice of heaven. We'll catch you again. Have fun with that new track loader. Have fun for me. My tractor's in the shop at the moment. Degree in chemistry and now biology. Ah! So you could probably talk circles around me about that then. Awesome. That's a nice background. Later, my slice of heaven. It's good to have you come in. Thanks for checking in and supporting the stream. Ah, hemp. Yeah, that's an incredibly nutrient demanding crop. Oh, we'll talk more about it for sure. My slice, Joey. No doubt. No doubt. I'll be into your live streams again too. I'm happy to talk about it in either place. Don't be afraid to hit me up with questions. I'm always glad to help. Thanks, Morgan. Thanks. That's a compliment. Thank you. Well listened, I would say. A lot of it was from webinars and podcasts, but yeah, I've been studying hard. I transitioned in 2008 from conventional farming tactics to organic, and then in 2013 I came across the NOFA Mass 2013 Nutrition Conference and John Kempf, and I just started really learning there, and that's what really pushed me in the direction of trace mineral nutrition and foliar feeds and really understanding biology and fungal networks and all that kind of stuff. And boy, that's really been a game changer for me. But I feel like I could spend 12 hours a day learning on this stuff and never know it all, or never feel like I've learned as much as I'd like to learn. I just have a thirst for knowledge. So Chris, what's going on with you? How was your weekend? Is that Chris or Darlene? I assume it's Chris. Or is it both of you? How's Darlene's back doing? Any better? Yeah, I know, Morgan. I know. I see a lot of misinformation out there. It drives me nuts. Yeah, I see a lot of, like, you know, they talk about organics and all that kind of stuff, and then they go put down a chemical fertilizer or a pesticide, and it's like, ugh, you just negated all the other stuff you were doing. Why? They just don't know any better. They've been sold, you know, they've been sold the product pathway, sort of. Both, really. A little better. Okay. Glad to have you both along. You guys getting warm weather down there? Did the rain finally stop for you? Yeah, you too, huh, Morgan? I had somebody, I had a comment on another video somewhere today. Somebody was saying, what was she saying? Oh, it was like it was a Sasquatch video or something like that. And we were talking about like evolution of humans and that kind of thing. And somehow diet came up into the conversation. And I said, you know, we're humans. We got forward-facing eyes and sharp front teeth. We're a predator at heart. Carnivore is part of our diet. And she came back with this whole spiel about having forward-facing eyes is only for picking seeds and nuts and this whole thing. I stayed polite, but I was like, all right, you go ahead and eat your seeds and nuts. Oh, that's what she said. She was saying that anything with animals in it is negative to the planet. And I was like, really? Drying out a little bit. Wide open busy. Yeah, I've been wide open busy too. I decided to take a little time and just do a live stream tonight because I've been overloaded. Have ponds and never use fish in the garden. Like, why, right? I can't understand it. I mean, fish is like, what did the Indians do? They planted a fish under every corn plant. Like, that's the natural system. That's why when you go up into Alaska or Oregon where all the salmon run up and the bears come and drag them out and eat them, that's why that land is so fertile. There's a ton of fish up there. Loaded with trace mineral nutrition, proteins, amino acids, all those critical pieces, right? And they'll throw the fish out in the garbage and go buy a chemical fertilizer and a pesticide, and then wonder why they can't produce. Anyway, she was saying something about picking seeds and all, and how yeah, bear poop, right, all those pieces. There's a video from Paul Stamets where he was talking about how the bears, when they scratch up the trees, I guess the Forest Service came in and was trying to like get rid of some of the bears because they were scratching up all the old growth trees. Come to find out, that was how those trees were getting inoculated with yeah, stupid is common. Talking about how the trees were inoculated with fungi from the bears scratching the trees, and so when they started taking the bears out of the system, they started screwing with the fungal networks, or the fungal reinoculant. Yeah. I always, if I have leftover fish, it goes in. We're kind of inland, so we don't have a whole lot of leftover fish. So I eat most of what fish I get, but anything that's left over definitely goes into that system. And I use something called Sea Shield, which is a combination of crab and salmon and a few other components, but it's high calcium with a little bit of nitrogen and silica, and man, amazing growth, amazing healthy growth. All those cells, when they build those cell walls, they have to have calcium to build some strong cell walls. Calcium and trace minerals is so critical. Yeah, you're right, homesteading the hard way. Stupid is as stupid does. Yeah, exactly, geeky. Yeah. Oh, well, yeah. You know how that happened, right, Morgan? You know why we went from dried fish to chemical ferts? They had a lot of leftover ammonium nitrate after the wars, and so they decided to repurpose the cells of it because they found you get a very fast growth response initially, and they didn't really dig into the science of it deeper to see what that does to the biology of the soil. And that's why our farms have crashed ever since. That's why there's more and more pesticides and chemicals used every year. And it's sad because it's making our whole population sick. Killing ourselves with our own practices.
Oh man, I'd love to be able to buy a 50-pound sack of dried fish. Imagine what that would do for your soil. I'll tell you what, one of the most beneficial things I've done to my soil was putting wood chips down. And you got to be careful because wood chips, initially the carbon to nitrogen ratio is out. But if you add some nitrogen, like some sea shield or some fish or chicken manure, there's a lot of things you can add to it. You add enough nitrogen to balance that out, and it makes an excellent mulch, and then you get all that fungal activity out of it, because that's basically filled with Morgan could pull the term out probably quicker than me, but it's basically it's what fungi eat. And so if you put all those pieces there, then you have high fungal load in your soil, and then that facilitates all these other processes. Oh yeah? Tell us about it, Elmstead. Yeah, your turtle makes awesome fish emulsion. Yes, cheap oil-based products. Yep, exactly. Good, cheap, fast. Pick any two. I think I have a run-in with stupid everyday homesteading. Yes, with an N boost, right? Yeah, we just had a tree taken down last fall. We got about 7 yards of nice wood chip out of it. It was a spruce, so it's not really preferred. I prefer hardwood, but I had him put a big pile in front of the barn, and the first thing I did, on the advice of Advancing Eco-Agriculture actually, was go out there and put down some of that sea shield on it to give it that nitrogen boost. And it's been cooking down over the winter, and in another couple weeks here I'm going to put it out for mulch on some grow plots. I can't wait to see it just explode. Are you familiar with Paul Stamets, Morgan? Sell plants, chicks, etc. You wouldn't believe some of the things I hear. I can imagine. N boost, nitrogen boost. He's saying that whole fungal trigger initially starts with the nitrogen boost. You got to have a little nitrogen there to trip it off. Okay. Excellent video. Paul Stamets, The Future is Fungi. And there's a few newer ones out with him in. You'll really appreciate his perspective on stuff. He's actually done a lot of work for the Department of Defense, and he's created a few patents which he in regarding fungi, which he actually released to the public. But very interesting guy. He's one of the top scientists on fungi. Super amazing dude. Very knowledgeable, very down to earth. Love to meet him in person someday. Except I'd want to spend like 3 days talking to him. And I doubt he's got 3 days. Yeah, check him out. You get a chance. In fact, I'll dig up at least that one video for you. Future is Fungi, How to Save the Planet. There it is. Excellent, excellent watch. Put him in the woods and not feed him at all. So what, he's making feral pigs? Great, that'll work out great for everyone's farms around there. Did you tell him no?
Not suddenly not for sale. Put in the woods and not feed them. Living web channel? Alright. I'm going to find that right now while we're talking. Living Web Farms? That the one? Woo! 56K subs. Biochar, biomass, soldier fly production. Yes! Thank you. Subscribe. And I'll play this video in the background so I get my 2 minutes in. Yeah, looks like a good one. Thanks for the tip on that, Morgan. There goes another 30 days of my time. That's a good thing. Yeah, no, you can use them in the woods, but you don't just stick them in the woods and not feed them. I mean, 5 to 6 years ago, need to watch it again. Yeah, Geeky Gardens, it's a good one. It's a good one, and he's got some new stuff out. He's doing some interesting research with bees, and bees that consume fungi not being as susceptible to the mite and the other winter over problems that most of the honeybees are starting to have now. He said he saw it on UT, so he knew it would work. You put the dog on him. There you go. Well, guess what? Now you're dinner. Rusty Lungs, hey! How you doing tonight? Thanks for joining. Glad you came along. Put the dog on him, that's great. Maybe we should trade names, Rusty Lungs. I'm over here coughing like I got rusty lungs. Yeah, you can't believe everything you see on YouTube. Amazing how much misinformation there is out there. And I think most of those people are trying to help people. They just don't understand the whole system, but they think they do. You know how it is, a little bit of knowledge can be really dangerous. I know enough to get in trouble. Well, yeah, exactly. Well, that's right, Chris. You've been doing it for 40 years. It's not like you don't have experience. I mean, are you going to learn from a 2-minute video on YouTube, or are you going to learn from the guy who's been doing it for 40 years? Who's got more experience? Like, seems like a simple thing, right? 40 years, that's a lot of experience. You can't go to a 2-minute YouTube university and expect to know it all. We ain't young and pretty. That's true. That's true. Yeah, you know how many views I could have if I were a pretty young girl? Couple of Instagram snapshots and you're million views or whatever. We may not be young and pretty, Morgan, but we got character. We got depth. I know, I gotta say, homesteading the hard way, I know a lot of conventional farmers around here, and they won't listen to us. Like 1960 all over. Don't trust anyone over 30. Yeah, yeah. Or we are characters. Yeah, we are characters. You're right, Geeky. Little of both. Yeah, exactly, exactly. You've tried it all. Exactly. That's been one of my things lately. where success equals failure and failure equals success. I think if you've tried something and failed at it enough times, you learn what doesn't work, and that helps you be successful later on. Whereas if you have success right off, you don't get all those failures to learn from, and then you don't know what to look for when there's a problem. So I say those two terms kind of invert to each other. Better than being sheep. Yeah, damn straight. Damn straight. 52 and holding. Well, I was born in 1977, but I think I was born in the wrong generation. I would love to have been around the 1800s when everything was still wild and all that. I mean, I love the internet and the technology that we have available to us, but I feel like it's detrimental in a lot of ways too. 54, 52, 54. Yeah, we've all failed a time or two, Chris. I failed a bunch of times, but every one of those failures was good experience learned, and it's come back to help me towards successes and help me avoid other failures and understand systems better and that kind of stuff. So good experience. I still wouldn't take and put a couple of pigs out in the wood and not feed them and expect bacon to show up on my plate in the fall. Who knows, maybe he'll get lucky. Maybe the sky will fall too. Yeah, I know a lot of ways it don't work too. Yeah, me too, Chris. Going from the old way to modern and back. Yeah, I mean, like I even love like the new Massey Ferguson. That's a great tool and asset on the farm. But I'd love to have a horse or a mule or something, and not be stuck to fuel oil based systems at all. I really like the resilience of working directly with land and soil and nature. You know, the natural system is just it's been here millions of years working just fine. Well, till we came along and screwed it up. Or tried to, and we've even failed at that to some degree. It's alright, if we get too much like a virus, nature will wipe us out. Man, I don't know. That coffee isn't helping me today. Can't get going for some reason. Do some water, I guess. Uh-oh. YouTube says my video output stream is low again. You guys buffering at all? Yes, exactly. We're part of nature. All we gotta do is plug it into that system. We already have the updates, right, Geeky? Apt get upgrade. Yeah, well, that's a good point, Chris. When the pigs look like crap, he'll turn around and blame you, and it's all your fault, and he had nothing to do with it, even though he was in charge of 90% of the life cycle and the feeding and all that. He'll blame you. Yeah, I know. Oh, he's not a farmer? I know a lot of people that are into restoration stuff like that. Tractors is a big thing around here, actually. There's a couple guys just up the road that do all kinds of restoration stuff. Their family has money or something, and so they just kind of buy and sell and restore tractors and cars and that kind of stuff. I don't think they do any actual farming with them. They've had some cool old stuff over the years. Ask your uncle if he's ever seen a Massey Ferguson 3165. Not super old. It's 68 or 9, I think. But it's older than me. Was it Morgan I was telling about the? Yeah. I was telling you about these comments, Morgan. For this lady. Deborah McCabe. Here, I'll drop the link for you. You can have a chuckle with me. Let me see. Yeah, let's see. The initial comment was following the food pyramid to the letter, I think, is part of the problem. There were multiple comments, and I said, yep, food pyramid is upside down. And then I said, Deborah, why do we have sharp teeth and forward-facing eyes then? Predator traits. I think the real problem regarding meat is just factoring farming way of doing things. The diet of the animals we eat is just as important as our own. And then she said, or perhaps you could dig a little bit beyond false information you're spreading to find that this number is not tied to a diet heavy in protein and fats, but more tied to suicide rates and a shift to Western diets, high in processed foods and carbohydrates, resulting in high cancer rates. And she goes on and on and on. Oh man, I don't even know how far down this is. Yeah, this was her last comment. Our forward-facing eyes enable us to pick fruit and seeds and tubers and such with ease. A horse has sideways-facing eyes, and there's a blind spot right in front of their faces. That wouldn't help us pick fruit and herbs, would it? If we couldn't see what is directly in front of our faces, and our teeth are not like a carnivore's teeth, nor are the digestive enzymes that are typically found in carnivores and omnivores, same as the digestive enzymes in our system. And I gave up at that point. I said, okay, you pick seeds and fruit, I'll have a steak. A 1960. Chris, you got some nice tractors down there. I like that one you were doing the plowing or disking with there. Plowing, I guess, right? A grey Fergie, quite common in the UK. 50s tractor, apparently. I know nothing about them. They all look the same to me. Well, you know. Yeah, if you're not into them, it would be hard to be up on that. Same people won't feed their dog meat. Yeah. Oh, it's not a predator. Really? How did they survive? They all come from wolves. What do wolves eat? Oh, right, meat. Okay, we'll just ignore that fact. A 30 Ferguson. A 30 Ferguson. Oh, nice. That's an old one, huh? Wow, I didn't even realize they were that old. What's, that must be gas, huh? What's the horsepower on that, Chris? Does that got like 3-point and all that kind of stuff, or what? Oh, I gotta check out your new upload homesteading. First tractor to have 3-point, 30 horsepower. Oh shoot, that's not bad at all. That must be nice for getting into smaller spots, huh? Is that a fairly small machine? compared to, you know, I don't know, compared to big machines. Nothing like stating the obvious. Can you get us a video clip of that at some point, Chris? I'd love to see that. Does that one run? I assume it runs if it's in your hands, or will. I had to drive the my Massey 3165 about 7 or 8 miles down the road to the to my friend, who's the mechanic who's doing the welding on the swing piston there the other day. Kinda did a video. Oh, okay. I'll also check it out. Anyway, that was scary, man. I thought the idiots on the road were bad in my regular truck. Boy, they're just crazy when you're on a tractor. I probably had about 5 or 6 different vehicles almost hit me. And I had a trailer vehicle with flasher lights and everything behind me. They just... Man. No patience. I guess they had to get somewhere to drink beer on Friday afternoon or something. Big rush to get home and watch TV. English is a TE30, American is a TO30. Only difference is the lights. Okay. Interesting. So Massey wasn't just a US thing then. Were they all over Europe or mostly just England? If you know. I don't know if you know. That's like the 77 versus 79 Ford, huh? Square round headlights. Yeah, steam power must have been a pain in the butt. I mean, nice to be able to run stuff off of wood. But having to get that boiler up and running, and that's a lot of startup time, you know. Most popular ever made. Oh, okay. Worldwide, yeah. Wow, okay. That makes sense. I came across an old Massey Ferguson safety video a couple of months ago. Just checking that out. That was pretty cool. It was probably late 50s or maybe early 60s. Hey, Thomas Schmidt. How's it going? I'd love to have one too. I just don't know how often I get it out. A lot of work to get all that heat and steam up and going. But it would be fun. The old steel wheel ones, you know. Basically a locomotive on tractor tracks or tractor wheels. There's a guy down the road here. Actually, I used to date his daughter years back. Who collects steam equipment, and he goes to all the auctions and all the like steam shows. He's really into it. One of the things he was saying is it's hard to find those old tractors where the boiler's still good.
Oh, they invented the 3-point, huh? Homesteading the hard way? That's awesome. What an awesome invention, huh? That's the one thing I wish mine had. But I don't know. At the same time, that backhoe is going to be really valuable for a lot of stuff. And I could always put a 3-point on it later. Although I don't know if I want to take that hoe off. That was such a heavy piece of equipment to get on. Probably be okay when it's under its own hydraulics, but without the hydraulics it was a nightmare getting it on. My friend's excavator could barely lift it up. Watch one pull a 13 bottom plow. It was only 40 horses. Wow. Yeah, that steam power had tremendous torque, huh? I wonder what the torque rating was on something like that. It was a 40 horsepower steam engine, but I'll bet the torque was way up there on foot-pounds. Convert it. Oh, the tractor to 3-point. Yeah, I think there's a tractor junkyard not too far from me. When I get all the other stuff fixed, I might look into getting the 3-point for it. Because I know it's got the plate on the back, you know, where you can put the 3-point in. Hey, Morgan. No worries. I know how that goes. Welcome back. We're talking about tractors and steam tractors and 3-point hitches and Massey Ferguson and that kind of stuff. I got to run years back. I worked for a farmer for a while. He had a 300 horsepower case dragging a 12-ton disc. That was fun, man. That thing was just raw power. It's just a yellow 165. Okay. Yeah, but I understood it was the industrial commercial version, which I don't know. What else did they beef up on that to make it the IC? Steam tractor pulled a huge modern one like a rag. I'll bet. I'll bet. One of the things I want to build here on the farm for powering pumps and generators and that kind of stuff is a wood gasifier. Any of you guys ever build a wood gasifier? Or do you know about them? Pretty cool old thing. I think they use them a lot in the late 30s and early 40s as an alternative to coal and fossil fuels and such. Nothing much, just a subframe and yellow paint. So a little beefier frame. Same engines and all that kind of component stuff though, right? It's funny because when I first tried to look up the 3165 about information and parts and all, you've seen small homemade ones. Yeah, there's one channel, the guy builds a whole wood gas powered truck. That's a cool project. Mr. Teslonian. If you haven't seen his channel, it's pretty cool. He does some cool projects. Does ram pumps and all kinds of stuff. No, but very efficient. Yeah. Well, so I started experimenting with that. Just gonna ask about what, Geeky? Wood gas? Yes, yes, exactly, Rusty Lungs, yep. Yeah, well, so there was one guy, the Teslonian guy, built a truck that runs on wood gas, and there's a couple of other good YouTube videos there where trucks are being run on wood gas. Everything else is the same. Had a 365, same machine, just older, okay. You've watched him? Okay, yeah. Yeah, he does some cool stuff, huh? Teslonian's pickup, yeah, it's like a yellow Chevy Love or something like that, right? Broussard Homestead, hey! Back at you. Welcome. Anyway, so when I first built the greenhouse and I did that rocket stove furnace in the ground, I had set that up with the plan to test and basically make that supply fuel to a generator to run on wood gas. And I did actually get the wood gas to flare off, but I never got any further with it. Modified to use propane. Yep. That's not too awfully hard to do, actually. And basically, if you can do propane, you can do wood gas. Wood gas, if I remember, is it's mostly methane and carbon monoxide. You're basically, you burn hot enough in the chamber to crack what would normally be smoke into carbon monoxide, methane, and and hydrogen is the other one. Hey, thanks, Broussard. Much appreciated. Thanks for stopping in. Appreciate the support. Yeah, I'll bet you do homesteading. Methane. Yeah. Yeah, it's like methane, hydrogen, and carbon monoxide. That's what the gases like crack out to from under high heat. So anyway, there's a video that I actually just recovered recently that has me showing some of the flare testing on that. And I gotta go through and edit it because it's like an hour long of me just running my yapper. But when I get it crunched down, I'll put it up on the channel and you guys can check it out. I still want to get back and play with that stuff, but I really have to sit down and design and build a wood gasifier targeted for the purpose I want to use it for. I kind of want to pull out my old 2-inch irrigation pump. It's got an 18-horse Briggs & Stratton and set that up to run on wood gas. Better result with a second non-burning chamber to gasify. Yup. And then you got to do really good cooling to take out all the impurities from the gas, and then some good filtration. Otherwise, you end up sticking valves. Generators and forklifts, especially. Yeah. The gas generator seems to be a big thing these days, which I get. But my old employer had a 15 kilowatt propane generator, and power went out for like a week at one point. And man, the amount of fuel that thing sucked was ridiculous. I think he went through a 1,000-gallon tank in like 3 days or something like that, with it running continuous. I was like, well, you're running at the same RPMs to make 5 kW as you are to run 15 kW, so you're not gaining any efficiency. Sounds like you've studied the wood gasifier stuff quite a bit too, Morgan. Are we like the same person, just different versions maybe? Yeah, all the inside forklifts are. Yeah, it's supposed to be less fumes. I guess you probably have to calibrate those so that they just yield carbon dioxide and water, right? You gotta get them burning clean for inside buildings, right? So people don't get killed from the CO. Not really. Fair enough. Cousins, maybe we're cousins. I think Chris and I might be brothers. Never did much with things like that. Well, I haven't done a whole lot with that kind of thing. I've more of just kind of studied it. But I want to go to that kind of stuff because I really like the independence of being in charge of my own fuel supply. That's just a super critical thing to me.
Hey, 2.5 acres. Welcome. How are you tonight? Okay. IPC certified. What does that stand for, IPC? Inter... I'm not even going to try. Y'all, what's going on? 2.5 acres. Glad to see you made it in. Indoor power equipment. Ah, duh. I'm a little slow sometimes. That makes sense. Well, so what's the majority of stuff that goes wrong with those? It's probably not carburetor related stuff, right? I mean, the propane's pretty, like, you don't have all the same problems you do like with the ethanol fuels and the water and the sludge and the carburetor and that kind of crap, right? So I guess with that out of the equation, what tends to go bad on that sort of stuff? More like spark related stuff? Or regulators like propane solenoids and that kind of stuff? Fuel solenoids? What'd you do today, 2.5 acres? You get nice weather where you're at? Oh, that's okay, 2.5. Gotta feed the kitties. Regulators mostly your ignition. Yeah, I figured. Yeah, so you don't kill anybody. Yeah, carbon monoxide's a sneaky killer, for sure. Us smokers know all about that. I have a friend who's got a shop. That guy can work in his shop with engines running and all the doors closed. And he doesn't get sick. I go in there for a minute and a half and I'm like choking and coughing. I gotta get out of there. I'm like, dude, you gotta open some doors. You're gonna kill yourself. Walk in, there's like a an exhaust haze in there. It's like, ugh. Between your cooking there, 2.5 acres, do you have anything you want to talk about tonight? Anything you want to hear me yammer on about? Yeah. It's a sneaky killer, man. You can't smell it, you can't see it. Only really signs you get are, you know, feeling sleepy or a headache or feeling sick. You don't really know it's coming until it's too late. Winter in a closed up shop. Yeah, I know. In the cold. Ugh. Working on a cold shop floor in the cold. I hate it. I always hated working on my trucks and stuff back when I had the landscaping business. Working on that stuff in the snow or on a cold concrete floor. Oh man, you just never warm up. But I'd rather that than die of, got rid of the pits and went to list because of monoxide. Yeah, because it settles, right? It's a heavier than air gas, right? I think there's a lot of that here in the U.S. too. Also, I think because people were getting trapped in the pit. Well, because they weren't using good safety practices. I mean, if you do things right, and you know you're attentive to every detail, you're usually okay. But you know, it's easy to get in a rush working on something and not be paying attention. Ford knows all about it with the Explorer. For sure. I've always had Fords, but I got my gripes with them too. Pardon me. Ah, okay, yep. That makes sense. Yeah, in a big truck shop, like, otherwise you got to put in some serious lifts to pick a truck up, right? You mean like tractor trailers, I assume, or like dump trucks, heavy stuff, right? The S in SUV did not stand for sports car. Try telling the soccer moms that. Well, I can't really pick on your Explorer myself, Geeky, because I have a Ranger, and the Explorer is basically just the SUV version of a Ranger. They're actually decent little vehicles, but it doesn't make breathing carbon monoxide any better for you. Subpar. Well, I was going to say, what does the S stand for then? But you beat me to it, Morgan. Subpar underwater vehicle? 300, that's a long ways, man. That's a long ways. My Ranger's just turning 200. I think it would make 300 if the frame wasn't rotting out from under it. I was so pissed about that frame, man. That really... Ugh. I really want to go back to a 77 Ford. Like a 250 or 350 4x4. You can get them like in Oregon or in the South where they haven't rotted out like here in New York. They're expensive. You're looking $3 to $5 grand just for the truck, and then you're going to have to do some work to it. Yeah, the salt is hard on them. Took you 500. Wow. Yeah, I had some old Rangers, man. Those things were they weren't built as heavy duty as the new ones. Like, well, you couldn't beat on them as heavy. I was rough on vehicles when I was younger, but man, they went forever. I had one that was like I think it was a 2.9 liter or 2.8 liter. I think it was a 2.9 liter, and it had a valve tick for eons, but that thing just went forever. It was really good on gas.
Yeah, and they're easy to work on. Yeah, I know. That's what I love about them. All of that. But yeah, the salt's hard on them, Chris. I go over to help my parents shovel out every time it snows, and I'm always like cursing the salt on the roads. My dad's like giving me a hard time about my truck rot depart, and I'm thinking, well, I'm driving over in the salt to help you shovel. Otherwise, it wouldn't be. 425K. Woo! Almost a half mil. That's some miles, man. Let's see, that's 9 times around the planet. Yep, yep. Sealed units, yep. Yep, and yeah, and the sealed bearings, the non-greasable bearings, and they're making everything out of plastic. And freaking nylon gears, nice. Yeah, we'll just make it out of plastic, then they'll have to buy it more often. Frustrating. Yeah, and then now everything, they're adding all this extra electronic crap to it, and the emissions are getting harder and harder and harder to pass. Now here in New York, you got to go through emissions to get to pass inspection. I just went through that last week. Unfortunately, my truck passed the emissions, but 8th engine, 3rd transmission, 2nd rear end, and a cab. I guess it's been a good truck. It's cared for you and you've cared for it, huh? 8th engine. Wow, that's a lot of engine changes, Chris. Let's see, 8th engine. So, well, that's only like what, 50,000 miles to the engine, roughly. What are you doing to them engines, Chris? Did you forget to put oil in again? Oh, I know what the problem is. You didn't fill the headlight fluid, and you didn't check the muffler bearings.
What kind of engine is that, Chris? I think you already told me, but I forget.
Man, a 6.2 diesel.
I'm trying to think. My friend Glenn just bought a 550 that had a diesel in it, and it had some kind of screwy issue that they all had. I forget what it was. I think it burned up a piston because the injector, something with the injector maybe. I forget the details.
Ate them like M&Ms.
This one tastes like another.
Oh boy. Well, I'm looking at the greenhouse furnace here. It looks like that's telling me it's hungry. Converted to gas years ago. Only the second one. Do you like the gas better than the diesel? Or is it longer wear life? Is that why you went to that? I know a lot of people that have diesel in their trucks. They swear they'll never buy another gas-powered truck again. I mean, I have to say, the only diesel equipment I've ever had is that tractor I just got. And I like diesel, but the thing I don't like is working on it. When you get that diesel on your hands, boy, it does not come off as easily as gasoline. That smell and that oil just stick with you everywhere you go. Yeah. Yeah, we have a lot of them around here where the guys go out and they buy, you know, the biggest diesel truck they can buy. And then they, you know, drive around getting groceries and picking up and dropping off the kids in it. And I'm just like, why? Why do you need 4,000 horsepower? And I can hear them a mile and a half away. They're stomping it to the floor everywhere they go. It's like, save all that power for something we actually have to pull some weight. They're not hard to work on though, right, Chris? Or is that why you hate them? I mean, it's pretty simple, right? You got injectors and a low pressure and a high pressure pump. Yeah, it's definitely an image thing. Yeah, they're trying to show off. I did play around with that a little bit years back, but I was a kid then, maybe 10 or 12. But I read a whole book on it, and I researched it heavily, and I still want to get back and play with that at some point. Making methane gas, you mean, from like manure, organic matter, that kind of thing? Or do you mean, oh, you mean biodiesel. I'm thinking of methane. Let's see, let me just, the book was The Handbook of Homemade Power. Good book on making methane gas. But you're talking about biodiesel. A friend of mine's dad actually set up his own little biodiesel production plant in his garage. And he's got like an old BMW or Mercedes or something, diesel, and he runs all his fuel on that. Collects you know, French fry oil and converts it to biodiesel. Works really well. He showed me the process. It's pretty simple. The new ones are, I'm a diesel mechanic and I won't have one tell you anything. The old 7.3 International. Well, International made some really tremendous equipment. I have a friend who's got a I gotta ask him what model that is because I forget, but it's an old International truck. Used to be the farm truck at his dad's farm back when they still had the farm, and he took it and rebuilt it and put it on lift and did a whole custom job to it. And man, that thing is a beast. I think he gets it out about, you know, once every 3 months. Goes for a Sunday drive, but man, what a cool truck. It's on Groundhog 44s, I think. Maybe they were 48s. Thing's huge. Easy to do, yeah. 6.9 and 7.3 were the best, yeah. Yeah, I don't know much about the diesel stuff. When I was into, you know, lifting and building truck stuff, we did all gas stuff. I had a 87 Bronco on 6 inches of lift with Groundhog 40s on it, and I had a 302 in it initially, and that 302 just did not have the torque to turn those tires very well, and I wasn't going through, you know, I wasn't going to go spend the money to do front and rear end because it's 4-wheel drive to change the gears. So I ended up putting a 351 Windsor in it, and that made a huge difference. That was a good motor. 6.9 84 F250. Yeah, that's nice. I like those old 80s trucks. I like the style of them. They were still built pretty well. They were solid trucks. I still miss my 79 Ford though. Man, that thing was awesome. I should have never let that go.
But I didn't have anywhere to put it at the time. Landlord was giving me a hard time about not having it on the road. I didn't have any money for the insurance to keep it on the road or money to fix it.
You know how it goes. It's too bad too. I put a nice 8-foot Fisher power angle plow on it. I had an electric hydraulic dump set up. We put on the bed. Could dump like
2.5 tons or something like that. Of course, that truck was squatting under a full load, but methanol spray over it pulls most impurities out. But diesel was really veg oil. Diesel was a cheap petroleum byproduct, so that changed the game. Yeah, right. And actually, I think a lot of the original oil for the original diesel stuff was actually hemp oil, wasn't it? Were they using hemp oil for that initially? Because it was such a high oil production plant. 82 F250 most of my life. 306 cylinder. Oh yeah, yeah. We had a work van like that years back, and that 306, that thing just ran forever. We never put anything into that motor. That thing just ran forever. It was an Econoline E350, I think, with the real long van line. We hauled all kinds of stuff in that thing. That thing just, maybe peanut oil, maybe one of those, but yeah, natural oil before we went to all this fossil fuel stuff. What Morgan said. Petroleum oil, that's what I'm trying to say. Peanut oil, that must have smelled good, huh? That's the other thing, you smell those diesels, man. Ugh. Yeah, I'm trying to think. My friend's dad, who had the biodiesel set up, I think they added, it was lye, basically, like potassium. What was that? Potassium. No. Was it potassium carbonate? Morgan will know. Lye. What is lye again? Chemical? Anyway, I think they add that to it, and then they heat it to like 140 degrees, and then they drain it off and let it cool, and all the impurities rise out to the top in like a wax. It's called, I know Morgan knows what I'm talking about. Anyway, it's the stuff that they use for making fire logs with. I want to say lysine, but it's not lysine. It's, help me out here, Morgan. You know what I'm saying. Glycerol, that's it. Old truck was perfect. We'd pull 14,000 pounds, 3K, get 20 miles per gallon on the way to brag running late. Yeah, KOH or NaOH. Yep. Yeah, potassium hydroxide or sodium hydroxide. Yes, that's what I was trying to say. And then the byproduct is glycerol. And if you mix that with sawdust, you can basically make fire logs with it. Although with a KOH or NaOH in there, you shouldn't breathe the fumes. But I knew you'd know what I was talking about. Yeah, I think it was KOH they were using, which is basically lye, right? I still want to go back and learn to make soap and that kind of stuff. I have all these hardwood ashes from all the furnaces here for the greenhouse and that kind of stuff.
I'd love to take that and make my own lye and then make my own soap, either with vegetable oil from some crop or even with the beeswax from the bees, or a mixture. One thing at a time though. Too many things to master. So looking at the greenhouse chart here, see the red line at the top on the right. That's the stove burning up its last big log. You can see it falling off of that peak pretty quick. And we're sitting about 130 because I got it throttled back a little tonight. It's not all that cold out. But I'm coming up on, I need to go stoke soon. Darlene's aunt has been making soap. Yeah. I'm gonna have to learn too. I've researched it a little bit. I kind of understand the process, but I gotta go back and practice what I preach, so to speak. Yeah, me too, Rusty Lungs. Anything that would be useful post-apocalypse. For sure. I love that, just the independence of being able to make and produce your own, everything you need. Everything in-house, that's the rule for me. Make your own firewood, make your own heat, make your own food, make your own fuel, your own soap, your own materials, your own everything. Love it. Alright, Kiki Gardens. Yeah, I'm going to pull the plug here too. I got to go stoke the greenhouse, and I got to start some more seeds and do a few chores and take care of some things. And I want to be up at a reasonable time tomorrow because it's supposed to be sunny tomorrow, and I need to feel some of that sun. I'm sick of the cold. I'm ready for spring. But thanks for coming in. Thank you everyone who joined the stream. Much appreciated. Rusty Lungs, good to see you in here. And thanks Chris and Morgan and Kiki Gardens and Thomas Schmidt, and God, I'm probably missing somebody. 2.5 Acres, Broussard, all you guys. Thank you for coming in. Thanks for the live stream. Thanks for the great chat. Always a pleasure. Look forward to talking to you guys next time. And Chris, I gotta go check out your recent upload. Everybody have a great night. God bless. Here's to a good week and spring breaking. Take care, everybody.